Imagine a leader who checks every email their team sends before it goes out, reviews every presentation slide multiple times, asks for updates on projects they've already discussed 3 times this week. They can't take a vacation because things will fall apart when they're gone. If someone walked into their office right now and said, "You're a micromanager," they'd immediately defend themselves. "I'm not controlling. I just have high standards. I'm detail-oriented. I care about quality." Here's the question nobody wants to ask. What if micromanagement isn't about standards at all? What if it's about fear? Let me show you what micromanagement actually looks like from inside. Think of a director who just promoted someone from their team into a management role. This person was a star performer, organized, thorough, consistently delivered excellent work. Now they're leading a team of 5. Here's what happens over the next 3 months. Week 2, the director checks in on how the new manager is handling their first project. Just offering support, right? Week 4, the director reviews the team's work before it goes to the client. Just making sure we put our best foot forward. Week 6, the director starts joining the new manager's one-on-ones with their team members, just to stay looped in. Week 8, the director is effectively doing the new manager's job while the new manager watches, increasingly paralyzed and unsure. Week 12, the new manager comes to HR saying, "I don't think I'm cut out for this leadership role. I can't make decisions without second-guessing myself." Here's what's actually happening. The director just created the exact failure they were trying to prevent. Here's the deeper truth. That director wasn't micromanaging because they didn't trust the new manager. They were micromanaging because they didn't trust themselves. What they say, "I need to ensure quality. This is a high-stakes project. I'm just being thorough." What they're actually thinking, "If this fails, it reflects on me. What if they make a mistake I should have caught? What if this is the moment everyone realizes I don't deserve this role?" This is imposter syndrome dressed up as high standards, and it's destroying your team's ability to grow. Here's what I learned working with leaders across 4 continents for 25 years. Micromanagement is rarely about the work. It's about worth. When you don't know your worth, when you believe your value as a leader is determined by your team's performance, every mistake they make feels like evidence of your inadequacy. So you grip tighter, you control more, you check and double check and triple check. Let me show you the connection most leaders miss. The Micromanagement-Imposter Loop. Step 1, imposter syndrome triggers. "I don't really know what I'm doing in this role." Step 2, compensatory behavior. "If I control every detail, no one will notice my inadequacy." Step 3, team disempowerment. Teams stop taking initiative. They wait for direction and they doubt their own judgment. Step 4, performance decline. The team delivers less creative, less engaged work because they're following orders. Step 5, confirmation of fear. "See, I can't trust them. I have to do everything myself." Step 6, imposter syndrome intensifies. "If I'm such a good leader, then why can't my team function without me?" Notice what's happening. You're creating the very evidence that confirms your worst fears about yourself. Micromanagement isn't protecting you. It's proving your imposter syndrome right. This connects directly to 2 pillars of my framework for connected leadership. Know your worth. When you anchor in your intrinsic value, a team member's mistake doesn't threaten your identity. It becomes a coaching opportunity, not a referendum on competence. Conquer control. When you understand that the only control you truly have is how you receive, perceive, and respond, you stop trying to control every variable and start focusing on developing your team's capacity. The hardest part of this conversation. If you're micromanaging, you're not protecting your team. You're protecting yourself at their expense. Consider what happens to the people you're micromanaging. They learn, my judgment isn't valued here. Taking initiative gets me in trouble. The safest thing to do is just wait for direction. I'm not capable of this work. They developed a learned helplessness, decreased confidence, and resentment towards you. Inability to make decisions independently. They eventually stop trying or they leave. Here's the tragedy. You hired capable people. You promoted talented individuals, and then you systemically trained them to be incompetent by refusing to let them do their own work, make mistakes, and learn. Not because you're a bad person, but because you're scared. Picture the leader who can't take a vacation because everything falls apart when they're gone. That's not evidence that they're indispensable. It's evidence that they've created a system where their team can't function without them because they've never been allowed to try. So how do you break the cycle? This is where receive, perceive, respond becomes your intervention. Imagine your team member sends you a draft that's fine. Not terrible, but not quite what you would have done. Your immediate impulse is to rewrite it, fix it, make it better. You open the document and spend 45 minutes improving it. You send it back with extensive edits. Your team member gets the message, your work isn't good enough. I'm receiving the urge to fix this immediately. I'm noticing my body is tensing. There's anxiety rising that says, this isn't perfect. It reflects on you and you need to control this. Just naming the impulse creates space between you and the reaction. Perceive. I'm perceiving this as my imposter syndrome speaking. This anxiety isn't about the quality of work. It's about my fear that imperfect work from my team members means I'm an inadequate leader. What if I'm confusing good enough with not good enough? What if this draft is actually appropriate for this stage of the project? What if my need to perfect it is more about my anxiety than the work's actual quality? What would happen if I let them present this version and learn from the feedback themselves? Respond. I'm responding by sending this back with 2 to 3 strategic questions instead of 47 edits. What's the one thing you strengthen if you had more time? How confident do you feel about the recommendation section? What feedback are you anticipating from the client? You see, this keeps the ownership with them while offering guidance. Notice the shift? You're not abandoning standards. You're developing their judgment instead of replacing it with yours. Here's your practice this week. The delegation audit. Make a list of everything you're currently doing that someone on your team could do at 70% of your quality level. Just 70%, not perfect, just competent. Choose one item and delegate it fully. Resist the urge to check in daily. Set a single checkpoint at the end of the week. The trust. Before you review someone's work, say this out loud, even if you're alone. This person is capable. If this work isn't perfect, that's feedback for coaching, not evidence that I need to take over. When you feel the urge to micromanage, write it down. What am I afraid will happen if I don't control this? What does this fear say about my worth? Is there evidence that contradicts this fear? The goal isn't to stop caring about quality. It's to stop using control as your shield against your own self-doubt. Here's what I need you to hear. Your worth as a leader isn't proven by having all the answers or catching every mistake. It's demonstrated by developing people who can think independently, solve problems creatively, and lead confidently, even in your absence. If your team can't function without you, that's not job security. It's a leadership failure. The hardest question you can ask yourself is, am I leading to develop my team, or am I controlling to protect my ego? Your answer to that question will determine whether you build leaders or dependents. Drop a comment. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you struggle with micromanaging? And be honest, this is a judgment-free zone. Awareness is the first step. If this hit a nerve, save it. You'll need to come back to this one. In the next episode, we'll discuss how to lead people who know more than you. That's actually your greatest advantage. Your worth isn't proven by control. It's demonstrated by trust.